a description is great and it's important, but it's also very handy and part of your assignment to include a picture. Now, Google Colab doesn't have like a picture editor in it. It's not that fancy. But you can link to images that are on the internet. So the trick is, how do you make an image on the internet that we can link to? And don't just use somebody else's image. We're going to do this ourselves. And the answer is, one way to do that is to use the drawing editor that's built into Google Docs. And you can access that drawing editor directly. I'm going to go open a new tab, and the URL for this, and this is also on the assignment, you can find this, is docs.google.com/drawings. So if you type in that, boom, you'll go to the Google Docs drawing editor, just sort of all by itself, not part of a Google Doc at all. And you can, up in the lower upper left-hand corner, you can create a name for that. I'm going to call this the Burj diagram. All right, so I'm thinking I'm going to create a line that's horizontal that represents the ground. And maybe I'm going to make it a little bit thicker than that, or a little thicker than that. And there's a text box that I can use here. And I'm going to put a little legend below that. D equals 160 kilometers, or D equals, and I want to put that in meters maybe. So a kilometer is 1,000 meters, so 160 meters. I can barely read that, so I'm going to increase the font size going up to the top here. It's at 14, so let's try 24. Oh, that's huge. Okay. Let me move that so that it's kind of just below the line. Sweet. Okay. So that represents the length, the distance on the ground from the Burj to Iran, based on my looking at Google Earth. Now I'm going to draw a picture of the Burj Khalifa. Let's see, it kind of looks like a triangle, so I'm going to grab a triangle shape. And, ooh, that works really well. I just drew the Burj. Okay. And I'm going to put a text box next to that. Burj. And that's, what did I say it was? 830 meters. And that's also kind of smallish, so let me increase the font size on that. All right. And, well, so I'm using this Burj, I'm taking a situation, I'm using this to create a model, which is a right triangle. So I'm also going to draw a line, I think. Well, that didn't work out at all. I think I was drawing a line. Was I drawing a line? Yeah, I'm drawing a line down the middle of the Burj that will represent that leg of the right triangle. And I probably should move it over a little bit so that it lines up with a line, a horizontal line at the bottom. Okay. And that thing needs to be moved over a little bit. Okay, you're seeing it live. I'm doing it live, folks. Now, actually, the place that I'm imagining seeing this from was not 830. It was 20 meters, which is kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to make my triangle really small like that and put another text box that says 20 meters. And I should just change the font somewhere. Okay, 20 meters. So that's a little higher. So I've got two legs. This is my Burj. It's this tall thing, but I'm really going to be looking from a height of 20 meters, which is really low. I haven't made this picture to scale. It doesn't matter. And the distance from left to right all the way to Iran. Oh, I should say that over here. Iran. Okay. Is 160,000 meters. And then finally, I want to draw a line that's the hypotenuse to make this truly a right triangle. And let's make that bigger. Okay. It's kind of crude. Okay, so I'll label the top of that the hypotenuse, L, and in parentheses the seeing distance. I just made up a term. It's the seeing distance. Okay, so there's a picture that represents the situation and how I've modeled it with a right triangle. And now we can go back, using that as a reference, we can go back into Google Colab and do a little bit more. Now, to get this into Google Colab, there's a neat little trick. Let me hide myself for a moment. Okay, so I moved my picture over to the right. That's easier. So I want to get this into my Google Colab document, and there are a couple of ways to do this. I think the best way is to actually publish this picture to the web. So you go to File, Publish. Show you again. I just put over that File, Publish to the web. And you highlight the part that says Link and select the size. Small might be okay. And then you click Publish. Are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. And what it does is it gives you a link which you can copy using Command-C or Control-C. And that's it. If I go back into this, Google Colab, to make the image appear as a special code, type an exclamation mark, square brackets. You can put something in it like a Burj diagram. I don't think it gets displayed. And then in round parentheses, paste in that link that you just copied from the drawing. And suddenly that shows up in the right-hand side. So the image is there. Okay. Now if I click outside of that cell, it just shows me the nicely formatted cell. And there's the diagram that I'm using to model the situation.